So what's going on, everybody? Today we're going to be taking a look at Avatar Frontiers of Pandora on the 6800 XT. And I want to begin by comparing it to the 3080 Ti. If you've seen that video I made uploaded yesterday, is that I ran into some VRAM issues at 4K with it, with the 12 gigabyte VRAM. And I said that I would compare it to the 6800 XT when I make the video looking at Avatar Frontiers of Pandora with the 6800 XT. So why don't we begin with that and see how they compare. So we're going to focus at 4K for this comparison, and this here is the 6800 XT settings. So we're using FSR Quality with the Ultra preset, and this here is our 3080 Ti settings, which is DLSS Quality with the Ultra preset. The time of day is different between the two, but it's still the same area, and it should still get my point across. Now, if you look at the 3080 Ti, you see the frame rate just dropped and our frame time's becoming jittery. So we went down to the upper 40s, whereas this card can actually do 4K 60 with DLSS set to quality. As you'll see, it'll reach that. Now, look at the 6800 XT. It's more consistent, even the frame time. So I do believe that we are, in this scenario, hitting some VRAM issues because if you look at the 3080 Ti at 1440p, it actually runs pretty good. Again, I'm just trying to look at everything and come up with a conclusion. I don't know exactly for sure, but you can look at the frame rate, frame time, and the frame rate actually. It's more volatile on the 3080 Ti, whereas the 6800 XT is more consistent. I mean, it's hovering around mid 40s, low 40s. Sometimes it hits 50 depending, whereas the 3080 Ti is dropping to the 40s sometimes, and then boom, it goes back to 60. On this one, we're using FSR Quality again, but the high preset. And then on the 3080 Ti, same settings obviously, but we're using DLSS Quality for that. Now that we've set the preset to high instead of ultra, you can see the 3080 Ti's performance is a lot more consistent. And yeah, I mean, I think people need to realize that you don't have to play with everything on ultra to enjoy a game. Whether it be on the 3080 Ti, you might have to lower it to the high preset to not hit that VRAM limit. On the 6800 XT, even though it has the VRAM, it doesn't have the processing power to do it. So you're going to have to do the same. You kind of tweak the settings and make do with what you got, right? I think that's important, that you don't have to set everything to ultra. And sometimes people that do benchmark content, like myself, I think we kind of reinforce this idea that you have to play on ultra because, you know, when you benchmark in something, you try to see what it can do, right? I don't play with frame rate uncapped. I cap my frame rates, whether it be 90 FPS or 120, it depends. Sometimes I might not want my PC to be a jet engine or pump out a ton of heat. I might lock it to 90. And use DLSS or FSR. You know what I mean? It's not like you play the way you want at the end of the day. Obviously, there's no right or wrong here. But that's just kind of how I think about it. You can always tweak settings to make do with what you got, right? But anyway, though, I'll probably make a more detailed side-by-side comparison for these two cards. But for now, let's go back to checking out the 6800 XT. Okay, then. Let's go through the settings first. We're going to focus on 1440p Ultra, so native resolution, and then we'll check out the upscalers and tweak the settings a little bit more because at 1440p, the 6800 XT won't be able to do 60 FPS. So it is a bit slower than the 3080 Ti in that regard, whereas the 3080 Ti was able to do pretty much 60, although it did dip to mid 50s sometimes, or even the lower 50s in some cases. But for the most part, you could get a 1440p 60 experience. So the 6800 XT still is doing pretty good with frame times and everything. And for what it's worth, on a VRR display, actually, this is not so bad. Funny enough is I got a Steam Deck OLED actually and play a lot of games with a 45 FPS lock. And yeah, it works pretty good. I think as long as the frame times are consistent too, which they are in this case, that's pretty good. Now, there is something that popped into my mind as someone that plays around with these cards, right? Is that the gap between 7900 XTX and 4090, the videos that I looked at, was quite big. I mean, the 4090 was like 50 to 60% faster, at 4K with ultra settings. Whereas the 6800 XT and 3080 Ti, the gap is a bit bigger than it usually is, but it's not as big. And I think that this game could be optimized better for RDNA 2 than RDNA 3, kind of like Forza Horizon 5 was. And I guess that kind of makes sense because the consoles are RDNA 2, and if you remember, Assassin's Creed Valhalla was really, really well optimized for RDNA 2, and then RDNA 3 came out and it wasn't as optimized for it. Same thing with Forza Horizon 5. So I think that could possibly be an update, either driver or game or both, that improves performance even further for RX 7000. But anyway, so my thoughts on this is that I think the FPS is quite a bit below 60 FPS most of the time, that I think we should probably check out some upscaling, but I also want to check out dropping the preset from ultra to high and see what type of performance we end up clawing back, because I'd assume most people want to play at least at around 60 FPS. So I think I want to try going to the high preset first and see what kind of performance we can claw back. Alright, so we seem to be around 65, 60 FPS, so this is much better. I think this is kind of what the 3080 Ti was getting at 1440p Ultra, if I remember correctly. Yeah, but the game feels pretty smooth. Even at around 45, 55 FPS, it actually feels pretty good with VRR. But 60 is obviously better. I think this is probably the way to go if you're playing at 1440p. Or if you're not a fan of using upscaling. I know some people don't like to use upscalers. You can go 1440p high and gain a 60 FPS experience. But we're going to check out, go back to the Ultra preset and see what FSR Quality gets us. Now, another thing I want to mention here is if you look at the VRAM allocation, that's crazy. We're close to the 16 gigabyte limit of the GPU, and we're using around 1495. That is crazy. I don't know, but another thing I mentioned in this game, because I was playing around with my 4090 yesterday and trying to go from like DLSS quality or native to quality and then balance, is that the VRAM does not go down, does not drop until you restart the game. Basically, if you're strung up for VRAM, restart the game, or if you change settings, restart the game. What I'd like to check out briefly is I want to go back to the Ultra preset and then check out FSR Ultra Quality. Usually we don't get an Ultra Quality setting. The highest we get is Quality, which is 67%. So I'm not really sure what Ultra Quality is, but let's check that out and see if we can get a 60 FPS experience. We're able to essentially get the same type of performance that we were getting with the high preset, but with the Ultra preset this time. And it actually looks pretty good. I've said it multiple times in my previous videos looking at this game, but I genuinely think this is the best example of FSR super resolution. And with Ultra Quality, actually, it's pretty much native, it looks like to me. Now, speaking of upscalers, just a quick sneak peek at what my next video will probably be. It'll be something short. I do want to take a look at and compare FSR and DLSS actually, because I've found an advantage FSR has over DLSS in this game. Anyway though, we can see that now we can use the Ultra preset at 1440p if we wanted to with FSR Ultra Quality, and we're pretty much a guaranteed 60 FPS experience, right? So let's quickly check out what FSR Quality gets us to and then move along. We already looked at Ultra Quality, and we're going to keep the preset to Ultra. And yeah, we're now in the 80s, close to 80s, which is great actually. Yeah, I'm actually quite impressed with the 6800 XT. It's doing really well, and the frame times are really smooth, very smooth. VRAM use is a little, yeah, it's a little high with this game, but I can kind of see why. Well, to keep things moving along, personally, I would probably play it at 1440p Ultra with the Ultra Quality FSR, get a 60 FPS experience. Or you could go with drop the FSR to Quality and get around a 90 FPS experience, which actually feels better. I would actually, you know what, I changed my mind. I think I prefer the 90, around 90 FPS. I do actually play at 90 FPS a lot. I think 90 FPS for games like this, single player games like this, is pretty good and obtainable. But anyways, we're gonna now check frame generation, where things don't look so good, and I don't understand why. But anyway, let's take a look. Alright guys, so we've turned on frame generation and I've set FSR to Ultra Quality. We're still using the Ultra preset here, and let's see what we get. Okay, so that is strange. I'm getting almost like the same thing as I did with the 3080 Ti. If you look at the GPU use, it's jumping up and down, and it does not feel smooth. It's like it's not synced properly. I'm sure if you probably ran the video at slow motion, you'd probably be able to see it. So even though we're getting around 100 and something FPS, I'm not really sure why, because I did look at frame generation on the 7900 XTX and 4090 at 4K, and it worked brilliantly. It looked amazing. So I'm not really sure why this is happening. I mean, I'm looking at the VRAM use and process, and it's pretty good. I mean, we're not like over or anything, so I'm not really sure what's happening here, guys. Anyway, I don't know. Maybe my game is bugged. I did actually have a sound bug with the game that was making all the sounds sound muffled. But yeah, I mean, I have the game on borderless. We can try VSync on, I guess. But even with VSync on, yeah, I tried the VSync on and it didn't seem to make things any better. I mean, as you can see, like the GPU use is so volatile. The way it almost feels like it goes smooth, and then all of a sudden it's like it like hitches or something. I don't know why, but it could be a me issue. I'm not sure. If you are experiencing the same thing, you can let me know, because it's just strange that it works so well on the 4090 and 7900 XTX. So I might actually try reinstalling the game, because you never know. Sometimes it's a Ubisoft game anyway. But anyway, let's keep moving along. We'll check out 4K and then wrap the video up. Alright guys, so now we're going to be taking a look at 4K here, and I've set FSR to quality, and we're still using the Ultra Graphical preset. Now, just from my experience, this is similar performance to what we were getting at 1440p native, and yeah, it was the same on the 3080 Ti as well. So yeah, that's kind of what we're getting here, around mid 40s, 50, mid 50s, so depending on the scene. I think we can probably do a little bit better. Now we have a choice here. We can either drop from the Ultra to the high preset, or go with FSR Balanced. I think FSR Balance will actually work pretty good, because at 4K, FSR Balance is fine in my opinion. In this game, I think definitely, because this is a very good implementation of FSR. So let's try FSR Balance and see what we get. So we seem to be close to 60, I suppose. Yeah, this is actually pretty good. Feels pretty good. Looks good. I can't really tell a difference right away between quality and balance, to be honest. Yeah, no, this is great. So I guess, yeah, if you wanted to play this game at 4K with a 6800 XT, you're gonna have to go to balance. Now, if you want to stay at 60, I'm pretty sure you're probably gonna have to go with the high preset, which I mean, the game still looks pretty good with the high preset. We can check it out real quick. Let's go high preset with FSR set to balance. Okay, here we go. All right, yeah, so we're at around 60 something, 70%, 70 FPS. I think this definitely feels the best, in my opinion. I would, if I was using a 6800 CF4K, I would play it like this, FSR balance. Anyway, though, this video's gone way too long. I hope you enjoyed me taking a look at the game with the 6800 XT and briefly comparing it to the 3080 Ti. I can probably do a more thorough comparison if you guys are interested. Let me know. But yeah, the 6800 XT is pretty good here. 1440p high native or 1440p Ultra with FSR Quality. It works really well. Or 4K with these settings. I think you get the idea. Anyway, I want to thank you for watching the video. Give it a like if you liked it, and consider subscribing if you want to see more content like this. Thanks for watching, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.